Have you ever wondered why so many people start to fade so quickly after turning 80? Even those who seemed sharp, active, and full of life not long ago suddenly begin to show signs of decline. Most people blame genetics or luck, but there are subtle, often ignored reasons that may be playing a much bigger role. And today, we're going to look at 5 of them. And the most surprising part, none of these reasons have to do with food, smoking, or exercise. They're quieter than that. They sneak into daily life and go unnoticed, even by those who have always taken good care of their health. The good news? Once you understand what's behind it, you can still do something about it. Let's start with the first unexpected reason: the quiet disappearance of microsocial interactions. We're not talking about family gatherings or deep conversations with lifelong friends. Those are still important. But there's another kind of contact that often fades after 80. The tiny, everyday exchanges. Think of saying good morning to the baker, waving at the neighbor across the street, or exchanging a few words with the cashier. These short, routine interactions might seem small, but they play a crucial biological role. They regulate the nervous system, boost the sense of belonging, and keep the social circuits of the brain active. After 80, however, these connections start to fade. People stop going to the pharmacy themselves. They shop online. They avoid talking to strangers because their hearing isn't the same, or they stop walking outside because of joint pain or fear of falling. And as these small touch points vanish, something vital goes with them, a sense of presence in the world. The brain interprets this subtle isolation as a warning. Hormones shift, immunity weakens, inflammation rises, and most critically, the areas of the brain responsible for memory, focus, and emotional stability start to dim. That's why aging doesn't always begin in the body. It often begins in the silence. If you've noticed that you talk less with people throughout the day, that you've stopped going out for small errands, no longer start casual conversations, or feel like you're becoming invisible in your neighborhood, it may be time to reverse course. Those simple exchanges, even the ones you barely remember, are quietly sending your mind and body a powerful message. You still matter. You're still part of the world. And that sense of belonging is one of the strongest forces for staying truly alive, not just in years, but in spirit. Now let's move on to the second unexpected reason many people struggle after 80: inactivity caused by excessive caution. At first glance, it looks like wisdom. Being careful, avoiding risk. It sounds responsible. But there's a fine line between protecting yourself and shutting down. And once that line is crossed, the effects may not show up right away, but they will come. It usually begins with good intentions. A slip on the stairs. A near fall on the sidewalk. You decide to stop going for walks. You avoid reaching for lower shelves or getting into the back seat of the car. You sit more. You stay seated longer. People around you praise your caution. Don't push yourself, they say. Take it easy. And before you know it, you've built a life that is safe, but motionless. What no one talks about is what happens when movement stops. Strength fades. Not just in your legs and arms, but in your balance, your coordination, your internal stability. The body isn't like a machine that stays efficient when it rests. It's more like a garden that needs regular care. When activity slows to a trickle, nothing stays the same. It all begins to decline. One of the first places this shows is in your core. Those deep muscles in your trunk are crucial for standing, walking, lifting, even just getting up from a chair. And when they go unused, even for a few weeks, they shrink. And when that happens, your balance suffers. You begin to wobble, and the cycle deepens. I remember Walter, 82. He stopped his evening walks after slipping once on a wet sidewalk. He didn't get hurt, but it scared him. He went from walking a mile every night to spending most evenings sitting in front of the TV. 6 months later, he'd lost 10 pounds of muscle. His legs felt like jelly. Walter didn't stop because he was weak. He became weak because he stopped. Of course, we should be careful. Use railings. Wear supportive shoes. Keep walkways clear. Use a cane if needed. But there's a difference between managing risk and surrendering to it. If you've noticed you're doing less, not because your body won't let you, but because fear is holding you back, pay attention to that. Ask yourself, am I being careful, or am I slowly fading away? Because life after 80 isn't just about avoiding falls. It's about continuing to move, even if it's slower now. Moving with more care, at a slower pace, more intentionally. That's how the body remembers it's still needed. It's how your systems stay active, how your mind stays alert, how your heart keeps beating with meaning. And if you're still watching this video and finding these insights helpful, please comment the number 2 below to let me know you're with me. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming content. Your support allows us to continue creating videos that inform, comfort, and inspire. Now let's move on to the third unexpected reason that life becomes harder after 80. Disrupted sleep cycles caused by irregular light exposure. There's a clock inside your body that doesn't make a sound but controls almost everything. Your mood, metabolism, immune system, and even how your brain heals itself overnight. And after 80, this internal clock, your circadian rhythm, becomes especially sensitive. One of the biggest reasons it gets thrown off? Too little daylight, and too much artificial light at night. You might not even notice it at first. Maybe you've started taking longer naps during the afternoon sun. Or maybe you don't go outside as much anymore, especially in colder weather. You keep the TV on into the late evening, or leave bright lights on while you read or watch something. Each of these choices may seem harmless, but together, they quietly confuse your body. The body no longer knows exactly when to be awake and when to slow down. Morning sunlight tells your brain it's time to get moving, to send energy throughout the body, to activate your alertness. And nighttime darkness signals the release of melatonin, the hormone that prepares you for deep, restorative sleep. But when your eyes don't get enough natural light during the day, or are overstimulated by screens and artificial brightness at night, the signals get scrambled. The result? You may find it harder to fall asleep, or to stay asleep. You may wake up groggy, even after spending 8 hours in bed. You may feel low energy during the day, or your memory may feel foggy. And over time, poor sleep doesn't just make you tired. It weakens your immune system, destabilizes your mood, and increases your risk of cognitive decline. There's another layer to this. Vitamin D. After 80, your body becomes less efficient at producing it through the skin. That means daily light exposure becomes even more important. Without it, your bones, muscles, and immune defenses all take a hit. I remember a woman named Helen, 84, who had been feeling tired, unfocused, and confused. Her lab results were normal. Her diet hadn't changed. She wasn't taking any new medication. The turning point came when her doctor gave her a simple suggestion. Sit by the window every morning for 20 minutes with the blinds wide open, and turn off all screens 1 hour before bed. Within 2 weeks, her sleep improved. So did her clarity. So did her mood. It wasn't a new pill. It was light. If you've been spending most of your time indoors with the curtains closed, or if your nights are lit up by the bluish glow of your TV or phone, it's time to make a shift. Try stepping outside within an hour of waking up, even just a few minutes on the porch. Let your eyes and skin absorb that morning light. And in the evening, dim the lights. Give your body the chance to naturally wind down. These daily rhythms are more than comfort. They are mechanisms of survival. Because what many people don't realize is that the body doesn't age just from wear and tear. It also ages from disorganization. When your internal systems fall out of sync, when the light cycle, sleep cycle, and daily flow become erratic, your body starts operating off rhythm. Bringing these signals back, restoring the natural light cues, resetting your sleep schedule, re-establishing your routine, is a way of realigning your life from the inside out. It's how you tell your body, even at 85, we are still functioning. We are still here. And speaking of presence, let's move to the fourth unexpected reason many people struggle after 80. Emotional suppression from loss and isolation. By this stage in life, most people have experienced more loss than many younger adults could even imagine. A spouse, a sibling, lifelong friends, sometimes even a child. And while the world offers polite sympathy, it rarely acknowledges the depth of pain that accumulates, not just in memory, but in the body. Because what often happens after 80 isn't just grief, it's silence. It's the slow habit of hiding emotions, of smiling while hurting inside, of pretending to be strong because you should be used to it by now, or because there's no one left who would truly understand. But here's the truth. The body doesn't forget. When grief isn't processed, when it isn't spoken, shared, or fully felt, it doesn't vanish. It settles. And over time, that weight turns physical. It weakens the immune system, disrupts sleep, alters hormone levels, and keeps the nervous system in a state of quiet tension. And the hardest part? It happens silently. Outwardly, everything may look calm. But inside, there's pain that has been carried for far too long. If your shoulders feel heavier, if your breathing is more shallow, if you no longer feel like yourself, even if you haven't spoken about it in years, grief might still be living there. I remember George, 86, who lost his wife of 60 years. He didn't cry, said it wasn't his way, said he was fine. But within a year, he had lost weight, stopped going to the senior center, and couldn't sleep through the night. Not because of an illness, but because his body was carrying sorrow that had never been released. Emotional pain doesn't have to be loud to be damaging, and by the time it shows up in your health, it often no longer looks like grief. What helps people live well beyond 80 isn't just physical strength. It's emotional release. It's having safe, open outlets for sadness, for anger, for longing. It's being able to say, I miss her, or I'm still hurting, or I feel alone, and not being judged for it. That kind of honesty lets the heart breathe again. And when the heart can breathe, the body begins to heal. That's why people who live long tend to have some kind of outlet. Maybe it's a trusted friend. Maybe it's a journal. Sometimes that outlet is faith. Other times, it's a community group. Maybe it's a therapist, a neighbor you have coffee with, or even a quiet prayer before bed. The form doesn't matter. What matters is the principle. What gets expressed can be transformed. What gets buried becomes weight. So if you've been holding something in, not because you want to, but because you don't know where to put it, it's time to make space. Not just for your emotions, but for your life. Because here's the truth. The heart can only carry so much before it begins to quietly shut down. And if you want to live well past 80, not just breathing, but alive, you have to allow your heart to feel too. If you're still here watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment the number 4 below to let me know you're with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I invite you to do so now and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. Your support helps us continue sharing reflections that inform, encourage, and uplift. Now let's move on to the final reason, the gradual loss of daily purpose. One of the most invisible reasons many people don't thrive after 80 is the slow disappearance of something we often take for granted, daily purpose. Not some grand mission or deep life meaning, but the small, humble kind. The kind that gives you a reason to get up in the morning. It could be watering the plants before the sun gets too hot, feeding the neighborhood cat that shows up at your door, writing a letter to your granddaughter, fixing that squeaky gate hinge. Tiny things. But when those habits start to slip away, so does something inside. When mornings arrive with nothing to do and nights come with nothing to reflect on, something inside begins to quietly dim. The body listens to the mind. And when the mind no longer sees a reason to keep going, the body starts slowing down too. Appetite decreases. Movement slows. And those systems that once kept you healthy begin to go quiet. Not because they're broken, but because they're waiting for a reason to wake back up. And the most dangerous part? It happens gradually. Maybe your weekly card game got cancelled. The church group stopped meeting. Family visits became less frequent. Your volunteer role ended when your knees began to ache. You tell yourself it's just aging, but deep down you feel it. The days blending together, each one quieter than the last. I once met a woman named Ruth, 88. She wasn't wealthy. She wasn't in perfect health. She didn't have a big family around. But she had one thing that stayed consistent: meaningful routine. Every Monday, she wrote postcards to homebound members of her church. Every Thursday, she made soup and froze it for a nearby shelter. And every day around 4 p.m., she sat by her window and waved to the kids walking home from school. She knew their names, and they waved back. It wasn't glamorous, but it gave her days texture. It gave her heart rhythm. It gave her life continuity. And that's the secret no one tells you. The body stays alive as long as it believes it's still needed. Purpose, even the smallest kind, is like fuel. It tells your cells to keep repairing, your organs to keep working, your brain to keep learning. When you lose that sense of meaning, when it feels like your presence no longer matters to anyone or anything, the inner flame begins to dim. That's why people who live beyond 80 with vitality and grace usually have something anchoring their day. A garden, a pet, a journal, a ritual, a phone call, a simple morning prayer. It's not the size of the action, it's the consistency. It's the comfort of knowing that when your eyes open in the morning, there's a reason to rise. So if you've been feeling a little lost, like your days have lost their shape or meaning, don't brush that off. That's not just sadness. It's a signal. Your body is asking for rhythm again, for structure, for connection, for purpose. Because in the end, longevity isn't just about a heartbeat. It's about a heart that wants to beat. That quiet desire to keep going, to stay connected, to still matter. That's what carries people beyond 80 and into lives that still feel full. As we close this video, I want to leave you with one simple truth. Most people don't fade after 80 because of a single moment. It's not a diagnosis, a fall, or a birthday that changes everything. It's the slow and quiet fading of habits, rhythms, and reasons to stay engaged. And those shifts are often so subtle, so gradual, that you don't even notice they're happening, until something inside feels dimmer than it used to. But here's the good news. Just as these patterns take time to set in, they can also be reversed, one gentle step at a time. One walk outside, one extra conversation at the store, one morning stretch, one thing you choose to do today, not because you have to, but because it adds meaning, structure, or connection. That's how change begins. So think back to the 5 unexpected reasons we explored. Which one surprised you the most? Which one hit closer to home than you expected? And more importantly, which one are you willing to act on, starting today? Because the truth is, you have more power than you think, not to stop aging, but to change how you age. And if you're willing to notice the quiet shifts, protect your rhythm, hold on to your purpose, and feel what needs to be felt, then chances are, you won't just reach 80. You'll live beyond it, fully, deeply, on your own terms. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one insight from today's video, and how you plan to apply it to your life. Your reflections matter to us, and reading your comments gives us energy and encouragement to keep creating. If this video helped or moved you in any way, please like it, share it with someone you care about, and don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps us continue bringing you content that informs, empowers, and inspires. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.